Hello, this is Jenny Luscombe, and this is Feeling is Healing, and we're on episode 23. And this show is all about what to do if you don't know what to do. And me and Andy are going to call it creative insecurity. And I got that phrase from the emotion code. So one of my therapies, I use Dr. Bradley Nelson's I use his modality to help people identify and release emotion. And this vibe of I don't know what to do, which I'm surrounded by at the moment. There's a few things that I don't know what to do about. And lots of people that I know are also struggling with kind of overwhelm and panic about the amount that they have to do and the fact that they don't know what to do. But I like the phrase creative insecurity. It makes sense to me. So when I was planning the show, I wasn't clear about what my focus was going to be, and I usually turn it over to the universe. And I usually find it obvious, actually. A theme kind of presents itself through people and situations around me. But there's so much going on right now. It's like pick a theme, any theme. So anyway, I wasn't quite sure which one of the themes that I was seeing. I wasn't sure which one to pick. So I was observing again people and things, thinking about what to talk about, and I just couldn't get clarity. And then I realized the universe is hilarious and does have a sense of humor. So I'd asked actually to be shown what to do for the show really clearly. And I thought, well, why am I not being shown really clearly like I asked? And then I realized that I was in the frequency of I don't know what to do. And then I realized, oh, that's the theme. So the theme that the universe showed me that it was about I don't know what to do by making me not know what to do. So it did make me laugh. Um, so what I'm seeing around me is that a lot of the people, clients and friends and family, lots and lots of people right now are alone and awake, and they have huge potential in their area of expertise, but they're just feeling alone. And because of the rejection of the mainstream and the choices that they've made and the way that they're judged by others, they're feeling unfulfilled, unsupported, struggling, lacking community, trying to do everything themselves and not knowing where to start. So I'm wondering if that's resonating with you guys. And it's all too much for one person. And this frequency is where bad decisions are made from. And I know this because I've made loads of bad decisions, loads. But I understand why now. So the main block here is that we think that we should know what to do when we have choices or decisions to make. And this is where the suffering stems from. So I'm putting it to you that no, we shouldn't, because you can't heal something unless you're letting it be there. So if you're stuck in a terrible situation and you just don't know what to do, and you've got the overwhelm, you've got the panic, you haven't got the support that you need, you're probably thinking for loads of reasons, I should know what to do. So if you're stuck in I should know what to do, that is directly hindering you from reaching your solution. So the feeling of not knowing what to do, it is so uncomfortable, and it's so much pressure. And we do when we're in that, we're not processing our emotion because we're in freeze mode, and then panic sets in. So what panic actually is when emotion is kind of poured on top of emotion. So it's when you have emotion about the emotion, and then the emotion is getting bigger because you're not processing it. And then panic happens when it just becomes too much. So we often panic and make snap decisions just so that we can not be in the energy anymore of I don't know what to do, because it's so uncomfortable. But if you do that, if you do make a snap decision from there, it's not going to be the right way. And, you know, I've said before that there are no mistakes. If we go the wrong way, it's because we needed to. It's a learning hologram, and we needed to have that experience in order to correct, in order to course correct. So you're not wrong and bad if you're going the wrong way. We're all doing that to some degree. You know, some aspects of us are going to be going the right way, some aspects of us are going to be going the wrong way at this point. So the frequency of knowing what to do and trusting yourself to make a good decision for your best interest for other people is a higher frequency than not knowing what to do. So a good practice for making decisions and choices is to always do that from a good vibe. If you're having a low vibe, it's not a good idea to make a decision from there. It's always okay to wait and kind of sit back. So the problem and the solution are completely different frequencies. You can't get to the solution from the problem. You can't get there from there. So what I'm going to be doing today is showing you a process that you can use to allow the problem of not knowing what to do, allowing it to be there. So if you do make a decision about a problem from the frequency of the problem or from the indecision about making that decision, then you're only going to attract more of that problem or indecision about that problem. So we have to go through the feeling of I don't know what to do. And there may be people out there that are doubting that this will make a difference, which is fair enough, and it does sound bonkers. But I've been doing this kind of work for a long time, and I've seen my external reality change miraculously over and over again. And it's quite hard to explain that to other people, because if you've ever tried to explain to someone else a synchronicity that occurred for you, it was yours. It was yours. Like you attached meaning to that. You received that message from the universe. It was confirmation. It was a sign. It gave you a heads up. But if you try to explain that to another person, they often don't get it because it wasn't meant for them. So let's have a look at this. When I was planning this show as well, it made me think of a kid's book that I used to read to my daughter. And I only thought about this recently, about how helpful the programming is in this for children, as opposed to the world of questionable weirdness in a lot of nursery rhymes and kids' tales. So the gist of it, it's called We're Going on a Bear Hunt, and it's by Michael Rosen and Helen Oxbury. And anyone that's parented young children, you've probably heard of this. So it basically, it's very repetitive, and it says we're going on a bear hunt, we're going to catch a big one, I'm not scared, it's a beautiful day. And then in the story they come up against all these obstacles. So the first one, grass, long wavy grass, we can't go over it, we can't go under it, we've got to go through it. So this is exactly the same as what we have to do with emotion. Exactly the same. We can't go under it. We can't go over it. We can't go round it. We can't pretend it's not there and get anywhere. We can't reject it, disown it, suppress it. Well, we can. That's what we do, but we're not going to progress if that's what we're doing. So in the story, they come up against grass, then it's a river, then it's the thick, oozy mud, then it's a snowstorm. And each time they can't go over it, they can't go under it, they have to go through it. So this is what we have to do with emotion, to transmute it into something else. And then when you do that, your whole perspective will change, and so will the people around you and the circumstances of your life, especially if you make this a practice. So whatever it is that you are in, whatever it is that you don't know what to do about, just start to tune into that situation. And this is about observing as closely as you can the feeling of, I don't know what to do, this creative insecurity. So just have a think about, how do I know I've got this problem? What am I experiencing in my thoughts, in my body, in my behavior? So it might feel like tension in your body. It might be in your shoulders. It might be in your stomach. It might be a freeze. It might make you hold your breath. And I've recently been working on this feeling as well. And I've had a few particularly difficult situations lately. And, you know, there's been conflict and pain and despair and fear about decisions, you know, whether it's the right one. And it, to me, sort of, if I could describe it to another person, what I was experiencing, it felt like I was being ripped in two. And sort of when I tune into that now, I would recommend tapping as well. Sorry, I forgot to say that. So tap on either your thymus point on the center of your chest or the side of your hand, which is called the karate chop point. So underneath your little finger, the squidgy part of your hand, it doesn't matter which hand, and you can keep swapping. And you can swap between those points. And that reduces your cortisol level. And it does all kinds of things. It helps you to surface subconscious information. So what emotion actually is information. And this information from this emotion leads to awareness. It leads to heightened awareness. It leads to you being in your reality, in the actual reality that's happening without projections. And if you don't process emotion, if you hide from it or you reject it or you disown it, you actually miss out on living life. And you miss out on everything, because if you never receive the awareness, the information that your emotion is holding for you, you can't reach your potential. You can't come into fruition. So it's about allowing the emotion, seeing that it's temporary, and watching it and observing it change into something else. So, you know, I get this quite often, people hesitating about feeling the feeling and wondering if that is actually the right direction to go in. So I'm just gently reminding everybody that whatever it is, however bad it feels, it is a temporary experience, and emotion was designed specifically for us to move through. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. So if we're denying the experience, we're denying our own reality. So if the emotion is observed and witnessed by you or by someone else, then it must change. It's the law. And if it is not observed, because you're hiding it, denying it, suppressing it, avoiding it, putting it off, doing the addiction instead, whatever it is, if you're choosing to not look, then you will actually keep the feeling. And it's kind of like you're nurturing that negative experience, and it will get bigger if you don't look. And that's what physical symptoms are. That's what emotional and mental symptoms are. It's the not looking. So your body will just keep calling, 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 calling. Your emotions are your body's voice. And this is about listening to the voice so we can make progress with whatever the choices, decisions, whatever our life paths are. So it's about making the choice to feel it because it's happening. So we can change. I don't know what to do. We can change this creative insecurity into I do know what to do, and it now seems blimmin' obvious. Really. So things will move into your awareness that have been there all along that you couldn't see because you couldn't see them because you were at the wrong frequency. So people everywhere are making their emotions the bad guy, and they're making their feelings and their problems bigger and more permanent every single day by not feeling them. And there's a billion reasons, a billion. So don't be like people everywhere doing that. Feel your feeling because it will get you everywhere. And that's what it's there for. So I don't know what to do will turn into I do know what to do, and it seems blimmin' obvious. So this is such a journey and it's so brilliant. And like, if you do this properly, and you can join in now or you can listen to the replay, you can listen to it as many times as you like. I can guarantee 100% that if you sit in this emotion for long enough, you will reach a solution. You will know what to do because that's how it works. So do some tapping while we're kind of working through this. Get your notebook out and your pen. So the tapping reduces the cortisol. It helps you surface the information that the emotion is holding. So I'm going to try and keep this as simple as possible today. So while you're tapping, just have a big deep breath to start. And I want you to tune into your problem that you don't know what to do about. So just ask yourself, how do I know that I've got this? What is my body showing me when I'm connecting to this frequency of I don't know what to do? So it might feel completely unworkable. It might feel really unfair, actually, or even impossible. And I'm guessing that it boils down to that it's about whether you get to be yourself in some way, or maybe you have to be what someone else wants. Maybe that's what your decision is about. I have to do this thing for someone else, or I have to do this thing for me. That's often the root of indecision. Us feeling confused or uncomfortable about going in the direction of ourselves because of our programming. And it makes sense. And all of us have this. And all of us have a problem not knowing who we are, really, not knowing what's right for us. Because we've all got trauma from being in dysfunctional families, all of us, to varying degrees. And we never actually got to experiment and practice and try things out. We never really got to play in the way that we wanted to play. We didn't get to fail. We didn't get to fall out of trees. We didn't get to succeed. We didn't get to learn about ourselves. And we might have got to do some of these things, but the majority of people on earth didn't get parented in the way that they needed, and that's no one's fault. It just comes from the way that we've evolved and the dark forces that are controlling everything. It's in their best interest for us all to be stuck in loops, not honoring ourselves. So the first thing that I want you to do while you're tapping is ask your body, what is the sensation in my body of not knowing what to do and feeling all of this pressure and all this fear about getting it wrong, making a decision that might hurt somebody else. So you might have a closed throat It might make you need to cry. It might be a feeling in your head. It might be words. It might be, I'm scared. What if I get this wrong? What will people say? It might feel like a lose-lose. I'm going to lose either way. So ask yourself, what am I saying to myself about not knowing what to do? About not having a Scooby-Doo what to do? What am I saying to myself? Are you saying, I should know? Because if you are saying, I should know, ask yourself why you should. Why should you know? Most of us don't have the support that we need to make adequate decisions at the moment, because we're all trying to do things in a very limited way without the right people around us. We shouldn't know what to do at this point. We just shouldn't. And we're on new ground. And the majority of people listening to this are, you're early. You're early to the party. You shouldn't know. You already know a lot, otherwise you wouldn't be awake. You're already nailing the apocalypse. If you're stuck in, I don't know what to do, and you're stuck in, I should know, that is your blocker. So I want you to just feel into that, I should know. What does that do to your body? So when I tune into I should know, it makes me think of people in my life who have said, you need to have a plan, Jenny. You know, people who have judged my spontaneity and my air. I'm a Gemini. I'm an air sign, and I'm very Gemini. And I'm not normal when it comes to making decisions, and I do things that other people think is crazy, which hasn't been easy for me, but now I don't give a shit. Which it does feel good actually, but yeah, I do still feel a bit of judgment from other people, but I see that that's okay, and I don't really let it affect me anymore. But that sense of I should know, a really good thing to do with this, if this feels true for you, I should know what to do, is just have a really up close and personal look at that, because it's self-abusive, and actually it's not your voice. A should is always coming from outside of you. You might have internalized that external voice. So you've probably internalized disapproval from others, that you haven't made a decision when you should have done. And it's no one else's business, your decisions. So just think about that. If it's not your voice and you've internalized someone else's voice, who did the shoulding? And why would they have done that? Because it didn't help you. But the feeling itself is valid. So if it feels true for you, I should have made a decision by now. I should know the answer. What is wrong with me? Just look at how that pressure is hurting you. So what you can do with that, I should know what to do, is just feel the frequency of that in your body. For me, it feels like in my solar plexus chakra, it feels like a pressure, a force. It's like a force that is coming from outside of me. And I'm just going to notice it. There's nothing for me to fix or change. So noticing when you've got a sensation is like a pot of gold, especially when you're tapping. So keep tapping while you're focusing on, I should know. Stay with the sensation. Just look at it. Get your popcorn out. Imagine cracking open a beer and watching a film. That's the energy that you need to be in, because you're receiving information from your body that way. You're not going at it, attacking it. You're not trying to hide it or fix it or change it. It will change. It will change if you're present and you're watching and you're looking. Just notice if you're judging it. It's okay if you're doing that. Just notice it. There's nothing to do apart from allowing it to be there, because if you're allowing it to be there, I should know. You're not going to be bringing more of that. You're going to be reducing it. And it works that way because you're caretaking your emotion. Law of attraction is not going to bring you more of that if you pay attention to it. It's going to reduce it. The purpose of the feeling is for you to feel it. So if you stay with, I should know, I should know, I should have made a decision by now, I should know myself enough to know the answer. If you stay with that sensation in your body for long enough and you keep looking at it, you will move into, no, I shouldn't. I shouldn't know. It's okay to not know. So just say that out loud. It's okay to not know what to do. Because if you're saying to yourself, it's okay to not know what to do, you're allowing creative insecurity to be present. You have got a million reasons to be creatively insecure. There are so many. Like, how we got this far is absolutely beyond me. You've got good, valid reasons to be creatively insecure, to not know. So just say it out loud. It's okay to not know. After everything that I've been through, I've been set up in every single way to fail when it comes to making choices and decisions that serve you. Let it be there. So that sensation in your body, I don't know what to do. How does it feel now? So you might already be feeling a difference in the sensation. You might already be receiving insights or joining dots, making connections. It might make you think of someone or a situation or a memory. Just ask yourself, when did I first have this feeling of I don't know what to do? And it isn't okay that I don't know and I should know. Which one of these versions of you had this feeling first in your life? Get back as early as you can. We have to not know. We have to not know what to do because we're expanding. We have to find these things hard. We have to make choices. We have to go the wrong way in order to know ourselves and to know what we're not looking for. And you can't get this wrong. But there's nothing better than knowing. There's nothing better than receiving yourself and going in the direction of yourself, knowing that it's in your highest good because you say so, not because anyone else does. So the sensation in your body is the main thing for any of these processes. The sensation is where it's held. It's the key. It's the signpost. So where is the location of this not knowing? And what is the type of sensation? Is it a pain? Is it a tension? Is there movement there? Maybe it's a throbbing, maybe it's a spinning or a tingling. Maybe it just feels like a block, like a big piece of wood or a big rock. It might feel like a heaviness. It might feel abstract, like something that you can't explain. Might be in your head, it might be in your feet. But mainly people feel emotion like this around their heart area or stomach area. And if it's around your heart, then there's a lot of abandonment type emotions held there. And we've all been abandoned to some degree. And of course, that makes you indecisive and confused. And then down in your stomach, if you're feeling sensation there, it's likely to be fear-based. If you're getting sensation in your shoulders or in your neck, it's probably more closely connected with anger and bitterness and hatred, having your will invaded, having your free will invaded. So just check in again with that. I should know. I should know what to do. Does it still feel true? It is amazing how something can feel so true and it can be hijacking your life, your thoughts, everything. And then you do some tapping, focusing on the sensation of that in your body. And then everything is different. Everything. It's bonkers. And it's so easily attainable if we could all just be brave enough to look. So the sensation is the key. Look at the emotion. You'll probably move through layers. So I should know what to do is a pushing away of the self. That's shame. And it's usually this kind of thing, like a mixture of shame, anger, fear, blaming, shock. And then ask yourself, what's the story? What am I making this mean? I must be weak if I can't make a decision. I must be wishy-washy. It'll be different for each of you. So while you're in that, I'm just going to ask a question which can sometimes reveal, like if you're finding it hard to tune into your emotion, or even if you're trying not to feel it. So all of this that's going on for you, not knowing, what does all of this seem like when you're trying not to feel it? So maybe you're at work, or you're with the kids, or you're with the dog, or you're doing something and it's kind of in the periphery of your consciousness. You're pushing it away. You're kind of trying not to feel it. You're trying to get on with things. You know that it's a problem for you. You know that you probably need to look at it, but you're trying not to feel it. You're ignoring it. You're procrastinating. Just ask yourself, what does this problem of not knowing what to do, what does this feel like when I'm trying not to feel it? So just tune into that, tune into all the ways that up till now, this situation that you're focusing on, tune into all the ways that you've been stopping yourself from feeling it. What is that for you? So you might notice that it's kind of a taste of the emotion that you've just been in, but there's panic and overwhelm added to it. So when you're trying not to feel, which is all of us are doing it so often, like we don't even realize because it's kind of our set point. If you tune into what you're doing when you're trying not to feel it, there's more tension. It takes so much energy to not feel. It's so much easier and the path of least resistance to feel. and it's temporary. But we were not led to believe that it was temporary. We were not taught any of this deliberately. So just feel the feeling of, I'm trying not to feel it, I'm trying not to feel it. Trying to keep a lid on a volcano is what you're doing. Not easy. Now swap back again to just letting it all be there, because it's temporary and because that's what it's for. So if you notice the contrast between I'm trying not to feel it, I've got the lid on the volcano, nothing to see here. Notice the contrast between that and then swapping to, oh, right, I'm just going to let it be there. I don't need to fix or change. I've got good reason for it to be there. It's flow. It might not feel good, but it takes less energy to let it all be there and to process it than it does to not let it be there. This is how tied up in knots we've got ourselves. So when you do this work, when you do some tapping, when you sit with things, just ask yourself, am I feeling this or am I trying not to feel it? Because that's the difference between, well, I mean, basically, I think it's the key to health sovereignty. I think it's the key to mental health sovereignty, physical health sovereignty, because we've been taught by the systems to not feel. We've been told that emotion is wrong and bad. We've attached meaning to it, like we're weak or we're socially unacceptable if we get angry or if we defend ourselves, or, you know, if we choose ourselves, we're told that we're selfish. It's absolutely phenomenal. Like it's it's so normalized. It's off the charts. So trying not to feel it is what's keeping us sick. And there's a lot of forces out there trying to keep us sick. It's mind-boggling. So we can choose not to be sick, actually. And it obviously can take a long time to get out of sickness. But the way to transmute sickness, which anyone can do, is to feel it, is to allow it, is to tune into the symptoms, tune into the emotion, tune into the sensation of that, tune into the beliefs of that. Let it all be there with your popcorn. That's the way out. So I think that's a helpful exercise to notice the contrast between trying not to feel it and feeling it, because then you know what that is for you and you can see the difference. And there's quite a big difference. So practice that. So if you're letting it all be there, which is the purposes of this exercise, it'll feel like you sort of let go, like you drop something, or you put something down, like you take off a heavy backpack and you put it down. So imagine that you're having a break from the pretending and resisting, trying not to feel it. Even if you feel like that's hard, say to yourself, right, I'm going to give myself a 5-minute break from pretending I don't have this problem. So this is a skill that you can practice. It's like a muscle that you can flex and you can strengthen. It's basically you observing you watching your own emotion. That will get you everywhere. So another thing that you can do when you're focusing on all of this, you've got the sensation of I don't know what to do. You've got the story of that, whatever that is for you. Notice the sensation, notice the emotion, and then drop this whole terrible thing down into your heart. So from your heart, that's where expansion actually happens. Expansion can't happen from the mind alone. If you could imagine your mind and your heart having a marriage, being very closely kind of entwined and connected. That's the energy that you need. Your mind, your heart, your body, basically your gut. That's the trilogy that you're looking for. Let it all be there. Watch it, observe it, tap. The more you look, the more it will change, and it has to change. So keep checking in with that and ask yourself, am I fully feeling that feeling as much as I can feel it? And if it feels like you've got numbness or something blocking you feeling the feeling, that's okay. Go to the numbness and just sit with that, with your popcorn, for as long as you can, and wonder what the information is that it's holding for you. Because the longer you sit with it, the more information you will receive about why that numbness is there. And it's normally a cover emotion to stop you dropping into despair. And that's okay. That's completely understandable to not want to drop into despair. But the longer that you sit with the numbness, the quicker that you will get through the numbness, and actually it won't be there anymore. And then you can dip your toe into the despair. You don't have to dive in. Just feel it for 30 seconds. See what that's like. And then sometimes the negative emotion will completely engulf you, and it might feel unbearable. If you keep tapping, you will move through it. You'll feel kind of a flow. Sometimes it feels like an electric charge when you're properly in it, and it will start to release. So the more sensation that you notice, the more memory you will get, which will probably be the core memory connected to this problem. The more you realize things, the more you make connections, the more new perspectives come, the more possibilities open up to you. And I would recommend getting really curious. So curiosity, like, is literally my most favorite thing ever. Curiosity and wonder are so good for you. So curiosity is like, it's like opening a door to Wembley Stadium, for example, and then every single person in a seat in Wembley Stadium has information for you about your problem. It's infinite. So get really curious. Curiosity and wonder is a moving towards, it's not a moving away. So if you've been rejecting your emotion, pushing it away, making it the bad guy, judging yourself for having it, disowning it, suppressing it, whatever you've been doing to not look, you've been moving in the opposite direction to healing. But if you get really curious and you open this door in the universe, if this terrible thing is happening to me, if this impossible decision is like weighing down on my shoulders and it's so painful and uncomfortable, if this is happening right now, how could this be for me? Why would God do this to me? Why would the universe bring this to my door? How could it be good that this is happening? What would it take for me to know the answer to that? Because it's a gigantic, great big question mark that you fired out into the universe. Now that energy has to come back to you. If you can let go of how it will come back to you, it'll come to you probably quite quick. Like, I for me and quite a lot of people I know, like, all my best ideas come in the shower. And it's probably because your head's a bit blank in the shower. You're kind of just doing the thing, and you kind of like have a bit of it's kind of meditative, isn't it? And like a sensory experience. It's like present, you're present with yourself. That's when things will come because you're not in resistance. it's very similar to when you're out in nature and you're sitting with the trees or the grass or the sheep, whatever, and you're surrounded by the frequency of nature, which is inherently non-resistant. So the trees are not going, oh, no, I don't want that. I don't want that water. I can't receive that sunshine. The trees are just like, yep, all my needs are met. I've got my roots in the earth. I'm connected to the earth. I'm connected to the sky. I've got everything I need. I've got all my resources. I'm connected to my community of other trees, and we're all talking to each other. They're not resisting anything. They're not doing what we do. So curiosity is a great way to bring answers, because you're asking. Asking has to bring receiving. So also wonder. You get that word into your vocabulary as much as you can. I wonder when I'm going to know the answer. So if you've set kind of healing intentions, you're trying to manifest something, you're trying to manifest a solution to this decision issue, and it's not materialized, and the universe has sent you west instead of north. Why would it do that? Because everything happens for a reason. And it's 100% healthier to wonder why something bad is happening to you than to be pretending that that thing isn't happening and to be not looking at the emotion. 100% more productive. So a really brilliant thing to say when you're doing any kind of self-healing work, and I use this all the time in sessions, and I love it because people come back to me and they answer the question. It's kind of not really a question, but it sort of is. So when you're tapping, if you say to yourself, I wonder where I'll be when I find the answer to this problem. I wonder where I'll be when I know what to do. I wonder where I'll be when it's blimmin' obvious. And I wonder what that will feel like. And I wonder how happy I will be that I don't have to be in this uncomfortable energy anymore. And I wonder where I'll be when I realize that that's happened and that I took control and I did some self-healing and it worked and it paid off. And I wonder what I'll say. And I wonder who I will tell. I would recommend wondering for manifestation generally. You know, you can say things like, if the universe really loves me, I wonder when I will see the evidence of that. You can play with it. And it's just non-resistant. Any energy that is non-resistant, anything that any rockets of desire or anything that you shoot out into the universe that is wondering or curious, you'll find out so much about yourself. So just check in with that emotion again. So you've been focusing on this issue for quite a while. And if you've managed to be properly in the sensation and you're kind of monitoring the emotion, you're looking at things come and go, kind of like cars passing. Okay, that's anger. That's a memory of something that happened. I wonder how that's significant. How did I get this indecisive? What am I making it mean about me? Just look at the sensation now. So it will probably feel lessened. It might feel completely different. It might have moved, actually. It's quite interesting how it's quite interesting how pain that people have had for years and years, like 30 years or something, as soon as you start tapping about your pain and looking at it and wondering about it and asking it if it has messages for you, and like suddenly it's moved to a different place and it's never done that before. It's moved because you moved it. You moved it by paying attention to it. So if you can move it, you can heal that. You just have to keep at it. You have to love yourself enough to see it through because you can see pain through. I managed to heal my own chronic pain that my doctor told me I would have forever. And I did that by accident just because I was focusing on healing trauma that had come up for me. I discovered EFT and I thought it was bonkers at first. I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, how can this possibly work? But yes, it did work miraculously. And that's how I ended up becoming a practitioner because I thought that the world needed to know about this. Um, so yeah, just whatever sort of stage you're up to with it, just keep working on it, keep sitting with it. And that there isn't always a, you know, obvious end point, but just keep doing it until you know what the answer is to your problem, until you are able to feel like you do know what the answer is to your quandary. You do know what decision to make. And just keep wondering, I wonder where I'll be when I realize I've healed this. I wonder where I'll be when I know what to do and I've done it and it was the right thing because I loved myself through the process and I didn't should myself. So you can't do too much of this work. Your body will tell you and show you if you've had enough. So I always recommend whenever you're doing any self-investigative work, drink plenty of water, keep yourself hydrated, and just sort of momentarily throughout your day, just get used to sort of checking in with yourself. Just keep it really simple. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What's here? You know, some people go out for a fag break or, you know, do whatever they need to do, but just check in with your body for 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You'll be amazed how much you find out from yourself just by doing that. You'll be amazed at what a difference it makes to your general well-being. So, yeah, I think that's everything that I was going to say. So, as always, if any of you have any questions about any of these processes, I love hearing about it. I love hearing about what you're doing. And I especially love, you know, like if you wondered to the universe, I wonder where I'll be when I realize that I now know what decision to make. I would love to hear if you suddenly had that experience where you're like, oh, now I'm finding the answer to my query, to my decision, and I wondered where I would be. And I was on the bus or I was in the shower. And I suddenly realized because I'd done that tapping, I knew what to do. I'd love to hear those stories. They are my favorite thing because you're programming yourself and you're programming yourself in a positive way. And we need positive programming. It's the antidote. And all of this will get you out of the matrix if you keep at it. It just makes you more and more sovereign. And it's just it's so miraculous. It's just miraculous. So I'm going to stop rabbiting on now. And I can see Louise. Hello, Louise. So yeah, if Louise or Andy wants to come on, say anything, I'm pretty much finished.
evening, Jenny. Good
Hello.
evening, Louise. The one thing that I remember when you said that, I wonder what I'll be doing, or I wonder where I'll be. I used to think like that when I was sort of a young teenager, late teens, early 20s. And I can't remember when I stopped wondering, where will I be when I'm 30? What will I be doing when I'm 40?
Yeah.
Who will I be with when I'm 50?
Yeah.
Where will I be living when I'm 60? You know, I've always had that wonderment of where will I be?
Yeah.
So it's reminded me of that. It's not exactly the same as for what you've just been saying, but yeah, I've that wonderment, that sense of curiosity of where will I be? What will I be doing? You know, yeah, I've always had that for myself.
I think it's a really kind of sneaky way of manifesting. And when I say sneaky, that's probably the wrong word, but like you're sort of, because you're curious and it's a move towards, and it's like it's not like it's the opposite of saying, okay, I want to be earning 200 grand, by such and such a time. Like, I want to win the lottery, or something where there's massive resistance, and your subconscious mind is just going, yeah, right, yeah, yeah. And you just don't believe it yourself. But like, this is a way of non-resistant manifestation. So you're moving towards, and it's like you're not attached to that thing sort of happening in a certain way. You're just wondering, but in the wondering, you're not saying that it isn't going to happen. You're not thinking this is never going to happen. You're actually you're paving a way for it to occur. You're kind of creating like a pathway for it.
Now that I'm at those stages in my life, now I can reflect back on my younger self, wondering where I will be now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is amazing. I do find myself, on a daily basis reflecting on that, thinking, yeah, you were wondering when you were 17, or me, when you were 17. You were wondering where you'll be when you're 50, where you'd be living, what you'd be doing. And you're here now living it, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's kind of a bit like parts work, actually. It's a bit like working with different parts of you, inner child. And but yeah, I sometimes do that. I reminisce about, good times and bad times. And I remember when I wondered as well. It's the same as you. It's interesting, isn't it?
Hi, I'm here now.
Hi, Louise.
Hi. I couldn't work out when to unmute myself, honestly. I didn't see that big button.
Yeah, that huge button at the bottom.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Louise?
I'm all right. I just forgot as usual. I'm just, wandering around the house from job to job like I normally do, not achieving anything.
That's funny because so many people are like that at the moment. Yeah, it feels like we're all treading water, aren't we, in a weird sort of way? And time's different, isn't it? Everything's wonky and strange.
Oh yeah, there's lots of people who've said they don't know where the time's going. So it's like isn't real anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your normal day. It just doesn't seem like a normal day anymore.
No, it's so weird, isn't it? And I think it's going to change even more, like from what, a few channelings and things that I've been listening to. It's so weird. But yeah, time doesn't exist anyway, which I struggle with, but
it doesn't exist for me.
Well, not enough of it, yeah.
So it's never existed for me, time.
Yeah.
I've always just done my own thing. I've always been on my own clock,
yeah.
Louise clock.
No, that's really healthy. Yeah.
With no one else is on it though.
Yeah. I'm kind of on that now. Yeah, I used to have quite a structured life, and used to be quite predictable. But yeah, I like, just doing my own thing and seeing how it goes, playing in the energy.
Oh, yeah, well, I've gone and accidentally got myself a job.
You accidentally got a job? Oh. How does one accidentally get a job?
Because I was just playing along. I clicked a link and did a online thing. It was just a bit of a game, and then they offered me a job.
So
what? It's just that I'm going to hate it. I shouldn't say that, but I'll have to do it for a bit and then see. Maybe doing such a boring job will make me think about what I really want to do. Wandering around the house doing nothing.
Well, there are no mistakes, and you'll learn something about yourself as a result of doing that, I'm sure.
I am just cooking our tea now.
What are you having, Louise?
Nothing interesting. Oh, well, I'm just having beetroot burgers.
Oh, I was gonna ask, because I was thinking she's not going to tell us, which made me really curious.
I'm roasting some carrots with thyme, parsley, and garlic.
Mm.
And then my daughter's having sausage, chips, and beans. Council house favourite.
Oh, that sounds nice. You're making me hungry.
If you want.
Yeah, okay, won't be long. It's nice to see you here.
Give me a call later if you want.
Yeah, you're on my list to give you a call this week. I was going to call you yesterday actually, but there was no time.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, well, my daughter's been off sick from school.
Oh, has she? Yeah. Oh, get well soon to her.
Just, yeah, I don't know what. I think she's had like a natural, trying to have a detox. I think she's been around too many bad stuff, and I think she needed this time out.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of pressure, school, isn't it? I mean, my daughter's 15 now, and it's bonkers, like the stuff that she has to bring home, and she handles it quite well.
I actually don't get it. What's the point? Why was this stupid?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not the only one asking that question.
Oh, yeah, well, my dad wants to have a community in Partswork if anyone wants to come.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. Oh, yeah. God, I hate normal life.
There's quite a lot of that sort of thing going on in Portugal, isn't there? I've got some friends who live over that way as well.
Now, my dad used to have a house there, which he bought for £14,000, and then did it up. And, it was just in the middle of nowhere and had olive trees and had a stream running at the bottom of it. I mean, what could you get for 14,000 in England? Yeah,
wow, that's amazing.
It's worth about, I think you can still get that kind of property for around 40,000 now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Portugal, but I do know that there's a lot of communities there. So I don't know if they've got certain laws that make it conducive or but yeah, me and quite a few friends of mine are interested in off-grid community, and it's sort of like the last few years I've been collecting people in a weird kind of way. But I met you, Louise. Like I for anyone listening, I met Louise at a Awake festival, and I've been meeting people over the last sort of 4 years really. And keeping a list of people that want to do that. Do you know what I mean? So who knows what's coming and how the world's going to change and whatever. But there's loads of people that want to go that way. And
I know, yeah.
Just
I know quite a few. I've got
just makes sense, doesn't it?
I've got a gang as well.
Yeah. So
with all the different skills.
Is your dad just thinking about that as an idea, or is he sort of proactively getting it organised?
We always just talk about it. This is the problem. We need someone to actually stick something up our bottoms to do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll come round with a big poker then tomorrow. But yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting because it's like you know, when you're thinking a lot about something, you synchronistically just bring in more and more sort of information about that. And communities are really on my radar at the moment. And land, you know, like seeing land for sale. And but yeah, everything's so uncertain.
Yeah, I would do it tomorrow. I just need to do it with I wouldn't want to do it just me and my daughter. That's the problem I've always had. I was setting things up ready.
Yeah.
I had my house for sale. And it obviously just wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
So my house was sold, but then I got evicted from my last house, so I had nowhere to live with a 5-year-old.
Oh.
It's like, you know, if I was on my own, that would have been it. I would have gone.
Yeah.
I had to, you know, think about somewhere for her to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once you got in the school here, then time, as you said, it's just gone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard, isn't it, to not be sucked into the system.
Yeah.
But I'm quite similar in a way. I mean, my daughter, like, I've taken her to quite a lot of festivals, awake festivals, and talked to her about what an off-grid community would be like, you know, and sort of tried to present that option to her. But she because of her age and because she's a teenager and she's very attached to her friends and that whole vibe, it's hard.
I don't worry about 5-year-old is.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't need to be an age thing. I think it's a head thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's tricky territory, but I don't know, like, hopefully things will change in the world, but like we can't sort of hang around waiting for that because it could take ages, couldn't it? Well, everything already has.
Yeah, we need to do something about it.
Yeah.
Oh, we regret it.
Yeah, but like in a similar way to you, I like a couple of years ago I was more urgent about it, and now it's not that urgent is not the word. It's just kind of like it's something that has to be created. And you know, me and a friend, like, we looked around at a lot of places that were doing community living. You know, we went down to Glastonbury and talked to the Crops Not Shops people that are down there, and went to Oxford. I can't remember now. There's a place in Oxford, like a big house, a big manor house where there's people living as a community. We went there and had a look. And then there was a Telegram group called The Community that I was kind of working with them for a bit. And like what I sort of see is that a lot of communities, they have their hearts in the right place, but then they don't really understand what to do with when conflict arises, and they don't always understand trauma work and triggers. And like I know, I can't remember where it was, but like I remember hearing about a community where there were vegetarians and vegans in the same community, and then the whole thing collapsed because well, the whole thing collapsed. Something really silly about cheese, like the vegans didn't want the vegetarians. The vegans didn't want the vegetarians' cheese in their fridge because they didn't want it to be tainted with.
See, that's my. See, I live in a community where you do what you're your own person. You do what you want. If you want to slap fish round your face, you can. If you want to, you know, eat cheese every night, you can.
Yeah.
You know, I think everyone's got to be who they want to be.
Yeah.
It can't be about control, and that's what some of these communities are. It's just another place where you're controlled.
Yeah.
In a different way.
Yeah.
I think they're doing the right thing, but they're still.
I'm just going to jump in there and make an observation. It's a very general observation, so I'm not being specific, but I have found over the years that vegans are very militant.
Yeah.
They are so rigid and so aggressive to non-vegans. It's like they're their own worst enemy in achieving what it is that they wish to achieve. It's like, I've never got it. I understand being a vegan. I get what it's all about, but being aggressively negative towards people who are not vegan is I've never understood that.
No.
Yeah, that's my 2 pence worth on the vegan thing. They just should have had separate fridges.
Yeah, yeah, they should have. Yeah, why didn't they? It's crazy, but it really is like having looked at.
People like conflict.
Well, yeah, like I don't know, people are.
Conflict only arises from people's attitude.
Yeah, I think
a conflict would do if
I think if people
from people.
If people could like. It's about projection. Like if people could understand projection, if they could see that they're triggered by a certain thing because of something, you know, specific to them that is, you know, other people might not blink at that thing, but if it's your trigger, then it's your business to clear that up and to notice what that is that's causing that. But I mean, most people are just gonna blame the other person, and that's just where everyone's playing I win, you lose, and then it doesn't work. But yeah, it's just how it is, just human nature. But I'm confused about the food thing as well, like veganism, vegetarianism, and then there's the carnivore diet, and like I've been veggie.
He just eats raw stuff in the sense of it. This is so funny. I can forward them on if you want.
It's really confusing because like there's people who say that fruit and vegetables contain oxalates, which can like, you know, cause you health problems. And then those people are eating just meat, not eating anything else other than meat, and they're swearing by that, and then they're saying that that's healing physical conditions and stuff, which is fair enough, and I sort of get what they're saying, but I also get what the veggies are saying. I understand why they don't want to eat meat. It's so confusing. I'm just sort of get like eating a bit of everything, and that's suiting me. But there's so much information that contradicts itself. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? I guess it's like everything is right for each person that says it is, and you just have to find your own way.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen in all aspects of life, not just for the food.
Yeah.
But the realization that one man's meat is another man's poison.
Yeah.
As the old saying goes.
Yeah.
So what's right for one may not be right for another. Doesn't make one right and the other one wrong. It's just right for that individual, for them.
Yeah.
You shouldn't then have to impose that strictness on anyone else.
Yeah.
There's me who's eating all vegetarian stuff. But not by choice, it's just by accident.
Yeah.
That's what I had left.
Does everything happen to you by Does everything happen by accident to you, Louise?
Yeah, pretty much. I like these accidents.
That's great.
Well, we're still recording, Jenny. So do you want to say a few final words so that I can stop the recording and carry on chatting afterwards?
Go and listen to this.
Now Louise is having a panic attack about everybody observing her cookery banter. Yeah.
To anyone about anything.
A few words. Have I got a few words?
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. I think in terms of the topic, I think I'm done. But yeah, I was saying to Andy before we started the recording that I'm loving this show. I love doing this show, and I love how it's helping me commit. You know, it's helping me work on commitment, which I find hard, and it's you know, helping me feel like I'm building a community, you know, not just professionally sort of in what I do, but in friendship. Like so many people have come towards me through the show for like different reasons, you know, clients, friends, like I'm just really enjoying it, and I just like to thank you, Andy, for providing this platform. And it's lovely that there are people, you know, new shows coming and it's growing. I love it. But yeah, I haven't really got much else to say, but thanks for coming on, Louise, and thanks, Andy. and I don't know what I'll be doing next week, but it will materialize, and so I'll see everybody next week.
Yeah, I think I should remember.
I've stopped it there. I've done that. We're not recording anymore. I will. What I will do is I'll leave yourself and Louise chatting. But what I'll do is I'll go and share it onto the group and do the linky thing that I do after a show.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Still be here. I can still listen. I'll just minimise the show.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so how's everything going, Louise, now that there's no one listening?
We hope so. But you know, don't you, when people come on?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, I've just been plodding along.